Ever inherited something you wish you had? Like maybe something you just want to get rid of but can't.
Oh, tell me about it. Like that antique gravy boat, you'll never use, but it's been passed down for generations.
Exactly. But today we're diving into a story about a family heirloom with a seriously unsettling history. Way worse than an ugly gravy boat.
Okay, now you've got my attention. What is it?
Imagine a centuries-old crucifix used for exorcisms. That seems to attract the supernatural.
Whoa. Okay, that's definitely worse than a gravy boat. It's amazing how objects can take on such weight in these kinds of stories, isn't it?
Right.
A child's toy or a family heirloom suddenly becomes conduits to something far greater and much darker.
It really makes you think twice about that antique you picked up at a flea market, right?
It makes you wonder what kind of energy follows those things home.
Right. Our source for this deep dive is an episode of the YouTube series, Beyond the Shadows.
Oh, I've heard of that one. Creepy stuff.
And honestly, it's one of those stories that stays with you. We're starting in Guanajuato, Mexico, with a man recounting his family's experience. It all begins with his grandmother, a devout woman who is known for helping those in need. But this desire to help leads her to a pivotal encounter that sets the stage for the entire story.
It's often those small acts of kindness that lead us down the most unexpected paths. What happened?
So, get this. The grandmother runs into this frantic young man who believes his sister is possessed.
Oh, no.
And he's desperately searching for a priest to help.
What's fascinating here is that the grandmother first encounters this sense of encroaching darkness almost by accident. She's just trying to help this guy out.
Okay, that's already giving me chills. What kind of priest do they find?
Their search ultimately leads them to Father Lucas, a retired exorcist.
A retired exorcist. There's such a thing.
Apparently so. He has stepped away from that life and now lives quietly as a painter. You can almost feel the weight of his past experiences and his reluctance to get involved. He knows the kind of power he'd be dealing with.
I bet. So Father Lucas just sends them away.
He does eventually agree to help, but not before giving them a very serious warning.
Oh, here it comes.
He entrusts the grandmother with a powerful crucifix that has been used in exorcisms for generations, passed down from one exorcist to the next. He makes it clear that this object holds immense power, but also comes with a dark history.
It's like that saying, be careful what you wish for.
Right, like sometimes it's better not to get what you want, especially when it comes to the supernatural.
Did he tell them anything specific about what happened in the past? With the crucifix?
Unfortunately, the details of the crucifix's history remain a bit of a mystery. But Father Lucas's warnings about its power and the family's experiences afterward definitely imply a long and troubled past.
So what happens next? Does the grandmother agree to help this young man and his sister?
She does, driven by her faith and perhaps a sense of urgency after speaking with Father Lucas. While we don't know the exact details of what happened next, the story shifts focus after this event to the grandmother's declining health and ultimately her death.
And that's when things really start to ramp up, right?
What happens to that crucifix?
It gets passed down, of course.
Oh boy, here we go.
It's like that inherited curse you mentioned.
Precisely. After the grandmother passes away, she leaves the crucifix to the family. They bring this relic into their home, and almost immediately, strange occurrences begin. It's as if whatever was drawn to the crucifix followed it right through their front door.
I'm already feeling for these people. What kinds of strange things are we talking about?
At first, it's subtle. Unusual noises, the feeling of being watched, disembodied voices. Classic haunting stuff. But then the events take a sharp turn towards something far more specific, focusing on the narrator's younger brother and his childhood toy, a harlequin doll.
Wait, a harlequin doll? I've heard of those creepy clown dolls. This can't be good.
No, it doesn't sound good at all. This seemingly harmless toy starts exhibiting some very unsettling behavior. The brother, who is still quite young at this point, becomes terrified of his once beloved doll.
What happened? Did the doll move on its own?
There's no mention of the doll physically moving in this part of the story. What's really unsettling is that the brother claims the doll speaks to him, revealing a more sinister, true face hidden beneath its painted smile. Imagine how terrifying that would be for a child. And then, to make matters worse, the doll disappears after a chilling encounter with the narrator's uncle.
Okay, hold on. Now we need details. What happened with the uncle? This is where it gets really interesting.
Well, picture this. It's the middle of the night, and the uncle is walking through the garden when he spots the harlequin doll just lying there. But here's the truly eerie part. the doll is positioned so that it's staring directly up at the window of the room where the brother is sleeping.
No way. That sends shivers down my spine just hearing about it. Like, whatever force is at work here is targeting the brothers specifically.
Right. And as if that wasn't unsettling enough, the family soon discovers that every single photograph that shows the brother with the Harlequin doll has been mysteriously defaced. Someone, or something, has gone to a lot of trouble to make sure those photos were no longer intact.
Okay, now we're talking about more than just a creepy doll. We have a powerful crucifix, a potentially possessed toy, and now defaced photographs. This situation is escalating quickly, and this is just the beginning. What happens next? You know, it's one thing to hear spooky stories, but to think this actually happened to a real family.
It's a chilling thought, for sure, and it gets even more intense. Remember that mysterious woman in black the grandmother encountered years ago?
The one looking for help for her sister?
Yeah, that's the one. Well, she reappears, this time outside the family's home.
Oh no, that's not good. Talk about bad timing. What does she want?
We never really find that out, but
Okay.
here's the thing.
What?
The narrator thinks that in his attempt to protect his family, he might have accidentally revealed the location of the buried crucifix.
Wait, the crucifix is buried?
Yeah, the mom buried it to try to stop all the strange happenings.
Oh, right, I forgot about that.
Anyway, he describes this encounter as terrifyingly real, even mentions a distinct smell associated with her, like something totally otherworldly.
Okay, hold on. So we've got a mysterious woman who appears out of thin air, possibly connected to a powerful crucifix that's attracting all kinds of weird phenomena, and now a smell. Could the smell be significant?
It's hard to say for sure, but in many cultures, certain smells are associated with the supernatural.
True. Like, usually not in a good way.
Right. This detail just adds another layer of unease to the story, you know? It's like how much of this is really happening and how much is our mind playing tricks on us.
I'd probably be freaking out by this point.
Wouldn't you? And this is where the family decides they need some serious help.
Makes sense. So they call in, like, a paranormal investigator.
Not exactly. They reach out to a priest who knows about the crucifix and its history.
Oh, this poor priest. He must have been freaked out to hear this story. What does he say about the crucifix?
He basically confirms everything Father Lucas warned the grandmother about.
So it is dangerous.
The priest says the crucifix, while powerful against evil, also has this nasty habit of awakening negative energy. He's basically like, guys, you've stirred up something ancient and powerful here.
So it's not as simple as just getting rid of the crucifix at this point, is it?
Not at all. And remember that detail from the outline about all the photos of the brother with the Harlequin doll being defaced?
Oh, right. I forgot about those.
Yeah,
This is getting really bad for these people.
it gets worse. They decide, with the priest's help, that they need to dig up that crucifix.
Okay, but how do they know where to find it? I mean, it's a big forest, right?
The mom remembers, obviously, but they're not alone. As they're searching for this buried crucifix, they run into some local ranchers. And get this, the ranchers casually mention they're out hunting witches.
Witches. Wait, are they serious?
Oh yeah, they're totally serious. And they even mention other strange stuff happening in the area. This is where the story gets really interesting because it shows how differently people view the supernatural.
That's so true. Like, what seems totally crazy to one person is just normal to someone else. What do you think shapes those beliefs?
That's a tough one. It's probably a mix of everything, you know?
Yeah.
Like our upbringing, the stories we hear, even our personalities.
Makes sense. But let's get back to the story. So we've got this family, a priest, a possibly haunted crucifix, and now some witch hunting ranchers. What could possibly happen next? This whole story makes you wonder if something should just stay buried, you know? So we got a family, a priest, a possibly haunted crucifix, and now some witch hunting ranchers. What could possibly happen next?
It's a recipe for chaos, that's for sure. And things do get pretty intense. But despite everything, they manage to get the crucifix out of the ground.
Thank goodness. So it's over. They
Yeah.
put the crucifix back in its box, and everyone goes home.
Well, not so fast. The priest, he gives them this warning. He says even though they've removed the crucifix, he thinks some of its evil will cling to the family, like a stain they can't get rid of.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's awful. So even after all that effort, they're still not in the clear.
Right. It's like they've been marked by the whole experience.
So what happens to the crucifix? Do they just toss it back in the hole?
Believe it or not, the mom takes the crucifix to a convent.
A convent?
Yeah. Apparently the priest suggested it. He thinks a convent is the safest place for it.
I guess that makes sense. It's not like they could just throw it away.
Exactly. They had to do something with it. In a convent, with all those prayers and, holy vibes. You'd think if anything could contain it, a convent could, right?
Right, but it doesn't work, does it?
Well, let's just say their troubles aren't over. The family, especially the brother, they continue to experience some really creepy stuff.
Like what? What happens?
The brother starts talking about this presence that follows him. The narrator doesn't go into detail, but it's like something from that Harlequin doll latched onto him.
Oh man, that's terrifying. You know, this whole thing makes you wonder if maybe those ranchers were onto something with their witch hunting. Maybe there's more to it than meets the eye, you know?
It definitely makes you wonder about those ranchers. Like, were they just superstitious, or did they have a deeper understanding of the area?
Right. It's easy to dismiss these kinds of stories, but this family's experience, it makes you stop and think.
It does, and it gets worse. Do you remember how the priest had helped the family?
Yeah, he was the one who told him to dig up the crucifix.
Oh. He starts having these disturbing visions, like something followed him back from the woods.
Those possible witches.
Maybe. The point is, no one gets away unscathed. Even the brother's ex-girlfriend, she and her whole family get caught in the middle of it.
What?
So the brother, he goes to stay with his girlfriend and her family. And you guessed it, they start experiencing the same paranormal activity. It's like whatever was attached to him, it spread to them.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
It is, and it really highlights the ripple effect these kinds of things can have. It's not just limited to the people directly involved, you know?
Absolutely, it's a sobering thought. So, where does that leave us? What's the takeaway from all of this?
It's a reminder that sometimes the things we bring into our lives, even with good intentions, can have really unexpected consequences.
And that sometimes the past is best left undisturbed.
Exactly. Some things should stay buried.
This has been quite a ride. It's a haunting reminder that some mysteries are better left unsolved, and some family heirlooms might be better left unclaimed. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, but be careful what you dig up.